Why is the world map so wrong? Last night I was staring at the world map and something felt off. I mean, we've all seen it 1,000 times. Greenland looks about the size of Africa, and Europe takes up a huge chunk of space. But then I read somewhere that Africa is actually 14 times bigger than Greenland. 14. So what's going on? Why is the map that we all grew up with basically lying to us? The answer starts with something called the Mercator projection. It's the most commonly used world map, especially in schools, textbooks, and online. It was created way back in 1569 by a Flemish cartographer named Gerardus Mercator, and it was designed for navigation, not accuracy. The magic of the Mercator map is that it preserves angles. That's really useful if you are sailing from one place to another, because straight lines on the map correspond to constant compass bearings in the real world. For the 16th century navigators, this was groundbreaking. But to make those straight lines work on a flat map, the Mercator projection has to stretch land masses the further they are from the equator. The result? Europe and North America look enormous. Greenland looks like a continent, and Africa, South America, and most of Asia are shrunk down. So while the Mercator map is great for plotting sea routes, it's terrible for showing the true size of countries and continents. And that matters, because maps aren't just tools, they shape how we see the world. When Europe and the US look massive and Africa looks small, it subtly reinforces a power dynamic that isn't based on reality. That's why critics of the Mercator projection say it carries a kind of geopolitical bias, even if it wasn't intentional. So why do we still use it? Partly because it's familiar, and partly because changing maps across education, media, and tech systems is a logistical nightmare. Also, even though we know it's distorted, the Mercator map is still handy for certain tasks, like digital mapping, because its geometry makes zooming and tiling maps much easier for services like Google Maps. But the Mercator isn't the only map out there. There are tons of alternative projections, each with their own strengths and trade-offs. There's the Gall-Peters projection, which tries to preserve area instead of shape. That means countries appear more proportional in terms of landmass. Africa finally looks huge, as it should, but the shapes are stretched vertically near the equator and squished near the poles. It looks weird at first, but it gives a much better sense of geographic scale. Then there's the Robinson projection, which tries to strike a balance between shape and area. It doesn't preserve any of the properties perfectly, but it looks nice and smooth. You've probably seen it in classrooms and atlases. It's the one with slightly curved edges. There's also the Gode's Homologine projection, which breaks up the oceans to keep continents more accurate, and the Dymaxion map by Buckminster Fuller, which unfolds Earth into a 20-sided shape, so nothing stretched or squished too much. It's strange looking, but actually pretty clever. And here's the kicker. The most accurate map in terms of preserving size, shape, and distance doesn't really exist. You can't perfectly flatten a sphere without distorting something. It's a geometry problem. There's no way to project a globe onto a flat surface without stretching, tearing, or shrinking parts of it. Every projection has to sacrifice something. So the world map you're used to, it's not wrong exactly. It's just doing a very specific job, and not the one you might have thought. There are better options if you want to understand the true size of countries, but changing the default map projection is a slow, complicated process, and for now, the Mercator still dominates. Next time you look at a map, just remember, Greenland is not the size of Africa, and the maps don't just show us the world, they shape how we think about it. Got a weird question keeping you up at night? Drop it in the comments and maybe it will be featured in a future episode. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep wondering. I am Mari and this is Midnight Question.